Hello everyone and welcome back to Horn of the Abyss, the Forged in Fire campaign. Let's end turn, shall we? The demons are invading. I'd often been berated and branded an adventure seeker. And what are adventures? Stories of glorious heroes and dragon slayers sung in taverns by travelling bards? Sure, I like to listen to them, but they never mentioned the fatigue, the bloody feet, the stench of dead bodies, or the screams of people eaten alive that echoed through the forest all night. The demons were on the hunt. Villagers were not enough for them. Those who took shelter in the forest were now in danger too. Frederick and I spent the night sitting by the fire looking in the flames, regurgitating the same slow, meaningless remarks. We were so exhausted we couldn't even bring ourselves to sleep. If this was adventure, then I can assure you I never wanted adventure. By morning we were in agreement. Nothing to do here for us. We must leave the valley immediately. As the sun was getting higher, the numbness we had fallen into the previous night had finally passed. At last Frederick spoke as quickly and vigorously as before, and his eye was keenly aware of the smallest details in the chaos. Henrietta, I want to thank you again. Perfect timing to get me out. It seems our aliens know more about demonology than the entire Bracadian Academy. They're already summoning some pretty powerful creatures from the elemental plane of fire, and I don't see them needing months of rituals, rare reagents, or the favourable position of celestial bodies to do it if we delay any longer. I wouldn't love to see Earthor being turned into a nice warm place like the ones these things are coming from, through portals and gates. You know, some of them prefer to live in active volcanoes, and Earthor is full of fire-breathing mountains that once became dormant but that can be brought back to life. Okay, we've only got 2 days left to complete this map, but clearly this map is designed that this is all you need to do. But nonetheless, we gotta get to it. This guy is relatively tough looking. And I do think that Frederick should be the one to do the fight because he does have spellcasting. So, and he needs some experience. So let's see if we can manage that, shall we? Let's hand over our items and such. Get some spell points. The other alternative is that Henrietta needs to do it in order to keep up with the defense skill of this hero. So that's the other thought bubble. And the enemy's probably going to have spellcasting, so it's quite awkward all round, really. I think this formation might work. Maybe this formation. Like, it's going to be messy no matter what, but let's get to it. I love discovering new things, but I hate surprises. That's the beauty of the process. Developing a theory and then practicing it to achieve exactly what you expect. The theory, of course, can be as bold as you like. That unusual starfall could not help but attract my attention, even though I was thinking about other things that night. I'm not ashamed to admit, the unraveling of this phenomenon was the most unpleasant experience in my life. All of us, the scientists of Enroth, even those who do not yet suspect what has happened, were confronted with the fact rocks can fall from the sky, and not just fall, but carry guests that no one would willingly invite into their home. Now I think, what if they are not stones at all, but something akin to our airships, only more complex and perfect? Or maybe only fragments of such a ship that has crashed. Is it possible that up there, so high that we can't see it even with telescopes, city-sized hulks someone crafted are flying somewhere on their business, carrying whole nations, exchanging signals and sometimes volleys of monstrous guns? And where do they dock? For their harbour cannot surely be on our planet, can it? I caught myself thinking, what I would like to most of all now find is a common language with one of these aliens, to listen to their stories about their native places, to ask 1,000 questions. For some reason they didn't throw me straight into the cauldron where they made their warriors from the dead flesh. Maybe they saw something in me with whom they could reach an understanding and agree on something. Maybe I should have. As I thought about it, I didn't notice we'd reached my old lab. Hearing Henrietta's command, "Ready the shells!" I looked up to see a large group of aliens blocking our way. This time they were lined up in a sort of battle formation, and there was a clear leader, a lean, scarlet-skinned, horned one clad in black armour, as if covered in a thick layer of soot. He stepped forward, looked me straight in the eye, and then scraped a claw across his throat, licking his thin lips. Alright, it's time. And it's not gone well. Okay. Fireball to our face. And then the Archdevil goes straight for the halflings. Okay. I wonder what we can do about these devils. Let's wait. And I think it might be time to try and blow up this devil with our detonation at death mode. Let's try that. So if we hit here and provoke the retaliation, blow up in his face and does 87 damage. That's pretty good. This devil's now within the range of a lightning bolt, but we want to wait for this pit lord to have moved before we blow him up. Might be able to blow up this Ifrit as well. Let's wait. This pit lord has his chance to move. Then he gets morale, which is absolutely fantastic, which means he now blocks my grenadiers and kills half of them. That is not good. Also, my tactics... Oh no, Frederick doesn't have tactics. Maybe we need to use Henrietta just for tactics, honestly. But then again, being able to just kill 3 pit lords immediately... That may be more urgent to kill these guys than to kill the devil then. But we can just kill them now. And then we get an attack. But this attack now is so weak because there's only 14 grenadiers left. It's going to be a puzzle, this one, to work out. $20 damage is a start. Get another 19 damage in there. This is only 25, this is nowhere near enough. It would have been handy if the pit lords didn't morale across the entire map. That would have been handy. Detonation of death. Let's stand here. The archdevils are gone. I think it might be time to just try and get through the fight on lightning bolts, because this guy is out of juice. Oh, that blew up. We can shoot someone. Useful. Shoot these are free. And the cannon gets another one in there. Let's see what else we can lightning bolt, shall we? Probably worth attacking these just to kill one off. We might actually win this fight after all. It'll be bloody, but... because this guy's out of spellcasting now. And the cannon will do some work too. So this guy just needs to run. Yeah, cannon's actually contributing a not insignificant amount of damage here. Lightning bolt. Is it enough to kill the Ifrit? No. So I'm gonna wait. Just continue to run. Yeah, Frederick could finish this on lightning bolts. This is working out. Alright, so now we can do a double move on top of these Magogs. All the halflings are dead. Lightning bolt. Got him. And then you're more than welcome to beat up the cannon, because you cannot kill it before it kills you. Might as well let the cannon finish the job, eh? Got him! What a fight! And now we get some interesting choices. With Frederick, I want to be less compromisey. I want to have specific skills. Like earth magic is a must, wisdom's a must. Well, you already got wisdom. But definitely earth magic. Logistics is good. And then armor, and then something. Now maybe that's just fire magic, but I think I'll skip offense for now. Well, that was a journey, but we got through it with almost no survivors. So let's clear this quest card. We stepped through the door that opened before Frederick, followed by a line of halflings. None of them had ever been here before. Had it been any other time, they would have been struck by the sight of the elegant laboratory, topped by a brocaded dome. They hadn't seen anything much nicer than plain stone huts or wooden barns. But no, the villagers had seen enough shocks for the last few days, and the only thing they were looking for was a chance to plop down on the grass and rub their tired feet. We decided not to disturb the weary halflings yet, and first went up the hill so that Frederick could check on his creations being prepared for their first big flight. The sight was incredible. In the middle of a clearing surrounded by snow-capped mountains, 3 large, huge bubbles were swaying majestically in the wind, with a very large boat beneath each of them. I confess that even I gaped at the sight of the spider-like mechanisms moving deftly about the decks and tackle, tightening knots of their steel beaks, and doing something else totally incomprehensible. Soon Frederick was back from his inspection of these, as he called them, airships. With a hint of pride in his voice, he said, "A job well done. My automatons worked smoothly and without error. The tanks are filled to the top with water. All that's left is to put the Orbs of Fire in the furnaces, and we're ready to go. I'll steer the main airship, and the mechanical assistants will repeat my maneuvers on the others." We went back to the halflings. The peaceful scenery of the valley nested between the mountains seemed to have calmed the poor villagers, perhaps even a little bit too much. Some were asleep, others were lighting their pipes. Frederick shook his head, grabbed an iron cone and spoke into its top. The thing made his voice so loud that those who were resting leapt up. "Enough sleeping. Go, go, let's get a move on. Time is very, very short. The demons may appear any minute now, and then we will all be in big trouble. In the building in front of you there are supplies prepared. Not a lot, but better than nothing. Take the crates and carry them where I show you, if you don't want to starve to death during the journey." "Hope those lazies don't forget the sack," Frederick said with the cone out of his face, and I was the only one who heard him. Suddenly, someone touched my shoulder. I turned around and met Tavin's gaze. He emerged silently behind me, but that was to be expected of a seasoned warrior like him. I wanted to greet him, glad that the guard had survived, but there was something in his eyes that made me hesitate. Tavin squinted at me and said, "If I had no trouble tracking down and finding you, those infernal beasts will do no worse. They've got as good a nose as the best hunting dogs in Arathia. Give me a week's worth of provisions and a sack of your firecrackers. I'll lead them away from your valley. At the very least, I'll buy you some time, holding them back for a bit." "But Tarvin, what are you talking about? We need you and your expertise. It would be suicide to go up against those beasts alone. Maybe they won't find the secret passage." "Don't try to change my mind, child. If it saves 100 lives of yours, that's the price I'll pay. That's why I became a soldier. One day you'll understand." I sighed, and feeling weak in my legs, did as he asked. Tarvin slung the sack on his shoulder, looked me in the eye again, and without another word or glance back, strode firmly out of the valley. Well, I think we've done this one, actually. Let's have a access of Yalililili. Congratulations! You have reached your destination and precious cargo intact and can claim victory. Nice. Well, there we go, yes. Dunzo. Eofol was dying. Apple trees were still blossoming, and wheat was corning up, but the stench of sulfuric ash was already coming from the mountains, and waters running down the slopes of no more dormant volcanoes were blightful. Very soon there will be no life left here, just its ugly semblance that the guests from the sky are creating. How hard it is to persuade a halfling to look upward for the first time in his life and face his own future. There are so few of them here, those who chose the inconceivable. Maybe they alone will live on and keep the memories of our land when it will die. Beyond the horizon, to defend the town of Burton from the ogres' assaults, you must defeat their leader, Zog. The loss of Burton will lead you to defeat. Your heroes are limited to level 12, but Henrietta and Frederick will bring the components of the Wizard's Well and Ring of the Magi to the next scenario. Yeah, so this was Arathia over here, but now we're in Jadame. The town of Burton is threatened by ogres of ravage roaming. Okay. Henrietta, Frederick, and Sam must repel their attacks and vanquish the ogrish leader, Zog the Jackal. So we can either start with resources, the Spirit of Oppression, or 10 mechanics. I'll probably go up the mechanics, to be honest. One thing I should point out, this music you're listening to right now is actually composed by Paul Anthony Romero for the mod. He originally was meant to be doing the Factory Town itself, but he ended up redoing the track entirely to what you hear now, so they've used it for the campaign theme instead. Let's get to it. Fear and excitement are the best remedy for grief. I understood it when land appeared on the horizon. Our long, taxing journey across the ocean was coming to an end, and the new continent of Jadame was looming ahead. The escapees didn't know yet that the land below was fruitless wasteland, and the village of miners we were heading to was a dirty, noisy hole. Burton is not a place for the weak. Any settlement in these lands attracts those who do not build, till, or shepherd. The right to a new home was going to carry a hefty price. Yet, for the first time since the day we had left, the faces of my unexpected passengers brightened up. Burton stunk. That was our first impression of that place. The whole town was permeated with the acrid odour of something unfamiliar. It made the air feel heavy, sticky, and dirty, if you can say that about the air. Because of this stench, our arrival in Jadame almost turned into a big scandal in the very first few minutes we stepped on the ground. We'd been through a lot on the way, and many of us had taken the journey very hard, but once we were on solid ground and breathing the air of the new world, the Eorfolian refugees cried out as one that they didn't want to live here and demanded that we just keep going. I didn't know what to say to them, so I just looked at Frederick. I could see how hard it was on him to be forced into the company of the villagers, who kept pestering them with their ill-placed complaints and requests. Now I saw his face growing purple with every new shout from the crowd, and I knew that an outburst could not be avoided. However, the storm came from an unexpected direction. From behind the scientist came a short, stout woman with her sleeves rolled up. She appeared to be his Jadamian colleague, Sam. He had told me a little about her on the way. On her face, fatigue mingled with anger and a sadness of determination. She put her fist to the side, looked Frederick in the eye, and shouted hoarsely, "Frederick, old fella, I sure expected you to come sooner or later, and not just you. You were bound to go for it and come to lie low at the bottom of our hole, but they hear there's more of you than armadillos on old Donald's ranch. Well, hello to you, dear guests. My grandfather's grandfather had spent 40 years looking for a place to put down roots in this land. You know what? He found the only place for hundreds of miles around that didn't stink. And then the ogres came and blew his head off. Thank the gods that the old fool had fathered some sons who scattered the 8 winds as soon as they grew up. My father's grandfather wasn't one for grand ideas, but the place where he settled stank just like everywhere else around here. But it was a good place to fight off enemies. My father's father found out the source of the stench. See the old fountain over there? He was trying to dig a well to get water for it, but it spewed out earth oil. That's what makes this place pong. My father figured out that oil burns well, so he learned how to smelt metal with this nasty but hot fuel. And then some ogre guys came here from places where it doesn't stink, but one can't get metal for weapons and armor either. Guess what they offered him? To exchange the metal for something they had a lot of? Suggested one of the halflings. Attaboy, you got it. And you know what ogres had a lot of? Dumbness. Their commander just smashed my dad into a puddle of his club, and then said we'd give all the metal to him and they wouldn't kill anyone else in return. Maybe. Well, at least not all of us. Maybe. If the mood strikes. Probably not, though. Anyway, done a masterful job of encouraging us to work hard. By the way, looky there, and over there. Sam made full circle of a hand, pointing to the outskirts of town. These old ogre boys are everywhere, and over there in a spot where it doesn't stink is their main fortress, where there sits one big slimy toad-covered
like fresh armadillo pup known as Zog. Yes, there are several more of his jolly good friends there. Want to keep going? I'm not going to beg you not to, but I could see your bubbles won't last more than 100 miles without repairs, with all the holes and whatnot. Where you'll have to land next time, I won't even guess. Well, I hope it won't stick there. Good riddance. The refugees stood there with their faces paper white. Those who had begun climbing the gangways back to the ships froze between sky and earth, clinging to the steps. I took a deep breath, making an effort not to cringe from the smell, looked at the red earth with my toe, and stepped forward. Hello, Sam. I realise you're expecting Frederick and his friends and didn't think there'd be so many of us, but we've all lost our home. If you'll let us stay here, we'll be grateful and try to make ourselves useful. We don't shy away from working or fighting. At my last words, half the faces of the halflings next to me fell, but thank the gods no one actually said anything. Surprisingly, Sam's words somehow calmed them down and cheered them up at the same time. They all suddenly rushed to unload the airships. When the hard work was done, Sam invited everyone to the hastily set tables. There was some unknown, slightly suspicious smelling meat, giving off steam, and bottles of wine, oddly greenish in hue, yet still undeniably wine. The hot food finally wiped away the fatigue of the grueling flight. Some of us, who perhaps even developed a bit too much appreciation for the local wine, began cracking jokes along the lines of, "Sure, halfling is not a bird, but..." Okay, well, here we are. We have the town of Burton, which is very much just a town. Behold our first look at factory, though. Isn't it beautiful? And the new music, excellent. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. So we don't have access to much. As you can see, the level 5 onwards dwellings are all disabled. I'm not surprised by that. When I played through the Cove campaign, it also added one creature dwelling per mission, basically. So we're getting at least to start with 4 of them, which is something. But yeah, so we've got the access to most of the economic buildings, but not the bank or the artifact merchants. We do have Mage Guild, and our blacksmith produces ammunition carts. So it's not that important, honestly. It's not like this is Tower, but it can be used for one of the level 6 units later. But we do have access to the mechanics here, which are flamethrower girls that can repair mechanical creatures, including Frederick's automatons here. So let's have him equip that Call of Conjuring, shall we? Make up for his abysmal power. Henrietta has more power right now, but this guy's only level 4, so we can't hold it against him. So there's a war machine factory. We might want to clear out these orc chieftains. There's goblins, orcs. Orcs are everywhere, really. Quite a lot of them, frankly. So we do have Sam as well. We should say hello to Sam. Sam has good skills, and she is the mechanic specialist of factory. And she has some engineers as well. Engineers are upgraded mechanics. Repairing for twice as much, and just having a bit better stats in general. But first and foremost, though, we do have some money, so we could just get a tavern. So we'll do that. But there's no one in here. That being said, it is a prerequisite for some of the other economic structures we want later, so it makes sense to get the tavern. We'll also want to get down a ranch, manufacturing, and halfling adobe as soon as possible. I was just curious to see if we'd get something in the tavern. The answer is no. Henry does start with some grenadiers at least, so we should have sufficient troops if we pull our troops together. Currently I want Frederick to be gaining experience, although everyone can benefit from the experience in this mission. So let's see what we can do. Well, at the very least, Frederick needs to pinch these engineers. But let's just pull our troops together for now, while we clear our initial starting zone. So yeah, you can keep one engineer for now. Actually, we'll just do that, yeah. This should be sufficient. Everyone pause for a better time to act.
Okay, let's start swinging our bullets into this particularly happy goblin. He was happy to run towards us and have a nice death. See, wasn't that nice? Oh, nice straightforward battle. I might as well torch these ones alive, eh? Burn! Oh, yes. Now it's the ogre's turn. I'm going to form a nice defensive position here at the left and let these two up the top do well. So this repair ability also will resurrect permanently fallen automatons. The one exception is if you use the automatons to explode, then they leave no corpse and they therefore can't be revived. So just something to keep in mind. Oh, another happy one stacks. Boom! So, let's position here. We'll wait again. Wait here. As the enemy approaches. So we can run in here and just, like, kill an ogre and then run back. Yeah! Got him. We don't even need to run, though. Just get in there. Bonk! We can then just fix that damage right back up, but I'm gonna hold off. That being said, I think this fight's basically done. There we go. Excellent. So we get a choice of mysticism. I'm going to pass on that, especially if we're going to be crafting the wizards well. So, let's hit up this Redwood Observatory. This lets us see some stuff and things. So there's plenty of palisades around, including this ogre garrison here. We also have... what else? There's a crumbled fountain. Interesting doodad. Dendroid soldiers. Some resource mines here. There's probably a sawmill to the right. I'd have to wager. But yeah, interesting. Either way though, thank you all for watching. When we come back next time, we're going to begin our exploration of the surrounds of Burton. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.